Hey everyone, I'm your host, Robbie Strazynski, and thank you so much for joining us on episode number 74 of CardsChat, the friendliest poker podcast in town. Today's guest is a woman who has founded and has grown the group Fantastic Ladies in Poker, Flip, into one of the most successful and influential groups focused on growing the game of poker among the women. The group has grown to over 5,400 members and continues to grow with many partnerships in the poker world. Besides being a tremendous champion for women in the game, she's also a champion at the felt as a successful professional poker player in her own right and as an ambassador for GGPoker. Today we welcome the Baltic Blonde, Daiva Byrne, to the CardsChat podcast. Daiva, how you doing today?
Hi, Robbie. I'm so happy to be here. It's been a long time, over a year, and thank you so much for such a kind introduction. I feel like, a little bit shy about this. I can't believe, so sweet of you to say all the sweet things.
But it's well earned, as they say. I didn't just come up with the words out of the hat. It's certainly, you've worked very, very hard in your career, to earn all those accolades, and we'll learn a little bit more about that as the show progresses. And like a lot of people have kind of been hibernating for the last year or two, so it's good to see you again. Hopefully we'll get to see each other for real at a live event in the near future. But we've known each other for a few years now, but I have to be honest, I don't really know your poker origin story. Can you kind of tell us, how is it that you kind of got into poker in the first place?
Sure. I mean, it feels like so long time ago, such a long time. So I first learned about the game of poker once I moved to the UK to study. So I was living in Brighton and in beautiful seaside resort in UK, and I went to university doing business management. So at the time, my boyfriend, who became my husband later on, so he introduced me to the game, and we used to play a lot online at the weekends. And that was the first time as well where I ventured into casinos to play live locally in Brighton. And that was, like 14, 15 years ago. And after graduating, I moved to London and I started playing poker more in the local clubs. So as you know, London is full of beautiful poker rooms and festivals happening on a weekly basis. So it's like a really good poker hub destination for anyone to come. So I used to play a lot at the Fox Poker Club, which was my local, 20 minutes to get to on the tube. So I used to be there a few times a week and play the monthly events. And I became this a Flip community member and Flip community member, Fox community member. Yeah. And I guess I kind of started to take up the game a little bit more seriously then and study on the side as well, because I was working in the office. And so playing higher buy-ins, I guess, not 5-10 pound games anymore. So it was 50 plus, I guess. And so, and that's kind of how it progressed.
So when you first got into it, you said, your boyfriend, later husband, shout out to John, nice guy. I remember meeting him, was a good guy, introduced you to this game. Well, besides, I guess, wanting to have something in common, what is it about the game of poker that intrigued you so much?
Well, I guess obviously, like any young person, especially when you're a student, you're short on cash and always looking for ways how to make money. I mean, I was doing 2 jobs on the side. I worked in a nightclub and I worked in a bar part-time. And I've always been looking after myself since I moved to the UK. But, extra cash always helps. So, the fact that you can make money playing online was massive, unbelievable. And obviously, then the different part comes into it, strategic game, mathematical game, psychological game. And I felt I have those qualities, I always had growing up in an entrepreneurial family and studying, business management. So I thought I could bring, the skills, and knowledge I learned at university and growing up back home in Lithuania to apply it to the game, essentially.
Interesting. So you said, you moved to Brighton to study university, and I imagine at the time, sitting in Lithuania, you hadn't yet been introduced to poker. What is it that you did first want to do? What did you think was going to be your original career path?
Well, I definitely didn't have a career path, First of all, I mean, Brighton, was my second town. First of all, I went to college in Chichester, which is 2 hours from Brighton. So, I did essentially A-levels there before being, accepted to university. and, doing all the language tests. And then, because, I always work closely with my family and we run a few businesses back home, so I knew that studying business management, something, appealed to me because of the set of skill and, knowledge it presented, like I thought I can apply any of those to, my parents' business if I was go back to Lithuania. And if even I was to stay in the UK and get further experience that, like it's gonna be in the field, like I enjoy and want to progress. So it was always gonna be, marketing or, finance. That's where I end up, like working once I graduated. I worked for Ernst & Young, which was accountancy firm and consultancy. Then I worked for Thomson Reuters, compliance. So it was always that kind of field. But what I didn't like the office environment and feeling restricted and, bureaucracy and I guess the rules I had to adhere to. Yeah. I always was, lacking that freedom to make the decisions. And I didn't, I guess, I wasn't very good at following, the steps of the other people. I wanted to do my way.
Definitely remember that as an employee. I was always counting how many more vacation days can I take. It's a totally different type of thing versus being self-employed and free, for sure.
Yeah. Well, just like have to agree to certain, decisions and certain actions for people. Also, you think like that doesn't make sense. I just can't stand it. And I can't fake it. I'm not very good at faking. So after 4 years of, working in finance, I just decided I'm just gonna resign. I'm gonna take poker full time. And that was in 2011, I believe, after, and that's what happened. I just made a decision like that because I wasn't happy in my office job, and with my support of my boyfriend at the time, I had some savings and I just went for it.
Right. So like, were you kind of like studying? I mean, it's not the same as poker in 2022. The game's significantly harder now, but it doesn't necessarily mean that it's an easy way to make a living. Were you kind of studying and, just, writing down every expense as you're supposed to do? And just, did you work your way out? Like, what was your plan to say, okay, I'm going to really like support myself, but I'm going to treat this truly like a profession? How did that work for you?
Well, like you said, definitely keeping the spreadsheets, of the financial situation, the buy-ins, the expenditure, travel, expenses. So, and also in the beginning, I just tried to focus on playing in the UK and like 70% of it being London. So I don't need to travel a lot, and that was cheap, and going and playing smaller events on a daily basis, like £50 buy-ins, like the field is even softer, like basically looking for value or there you have an edge. So always kind of thinking, like, what can I do, like to make it easier to make money. So, and then eventually after 6 months, which is like better luck as well for me, after playing poker full time, I got approached by the Genting casinos, and they essentially own Fox Poker Club. And they, they just wanted me to become the ambassador for poker. So that helped massively because, then I started traveling more around UK, playing, Genting events. We used to have Genting Poker Series, like £400 main event. And that was huge, attracted hundreds of numbers. And I had a few deep runs in that, and that helped massively with the bankroll for me.
Wow, that is, I mean, that's a very unique, almost like a lottery ticket kind of winning story. I mean, it's not even like you were trying to get noticed or, there was no dream of this nature, but they just kind of picked you out of the field.
Yeah, but that's the interesting thing, because at that point, I think the only, like poker ambassadors you would see there, the ones like on TV, like Couple for Poker Stars, the big ones, like Moneymaker, and Daniel Negreanu, and you wouldn't know anyone else. And then suddenly, they literally, Grosvenor started with me. They were like, I don't know, saw obviously a potential, like that we need representation for smaller poker events and poker brands in the UK, And then that's how it started. Then we got a couple of more members, and Hendon Mobsters, they joined after me as well, the Genting Poker Series.
So, I mean, you had no experience as an ambassador for poker. You didn't have this idea of, I ever want to be one. How did you kind of know what to do? Like, what were your responsibilities?
Well, I guess like the reason they did pick me, because I spent lots of time at the poker club, like interacting with people, building, network and friendships, and, like, I guess I'm just quite good at the social aspect. I love spending time talking to people and, like hanging out with them. And I guess that was a big part from the strategy, having someone people can relate to and tell the story, you know, like that I resigned and started playing poker and what do I do? So, you know, like just someone relatable and people can, you know, like feel I can do this as well, you know, a little bit. And I just like learned myself. That was the first time I think I created my social media account, started working on, you know, Facebook. And basically it was just the start of all the social media boom as well.
Right.
So, and I was writing blogs at the time, you know, like, yeah, I guess just kind of like went as I go, see what works, what doesn't, what people like, trying to meet up before events and, you know, like kind of be a host a little bit.
Sure. That's truly fascinating. I mean, like, again, like I told you, I've known you for a few years. I'm very familiar, and, you know, people who do know who you are, it's through your advocacy for women in poker. I'm kind of wondering at what point from, you know, your professional poker playing career to make a living, and then, you know, being an ambassador for a brand, at what point did that sort of start becoming something important and meaningful to you that you decided, you know, this is the type of thing I want to do more and focus more on?
Mm-hmm. So I guess obviously once I started, I noticed that massive difference, you know, disparity in the numbers, female and male, you know, players at the tables. And obviously it was just always a question in my mind. I mean, like, it's really interesting. And I was always like looking for reasons, you know, and always trying to speak to people, you know, or female, you know, like why we friends are not playing and my friends. So I just thought, well, what can I do about it, you know, like to make a difference? So was it just over 4 years ago. So I decided, you know, like just came up with this idea to set up a female community online where we can have this kind of like base to network and meet up, you know, like-minded people. We can travel to events together and possibly, you know, feel more comfortable and find out about ladies events, you know, where we can like learn experience and, you know, like get some confidence. And so yeah, initially the group was just all about celebrating women at the events I was going to myself. So I'd always follow, you know, the last female standing and update the group, you know, who's from the group is still in and how we're doing. And it was like kind of
your personal thing you wanted to do. This wasn't coming from anyone you were sponsored by.
No. It was, yeah, literally was my idea, you know, from the start. And so, yeah, and that, yeah, it was a small group initially, like a few hundred people, invited everyone I knew on Facebook, and then added more people as I went to different events. And then like, yeah, and we are 5,400 now.
Well, how did you come up with, I mean, it's a great acronym. There's like a FLIP, Fantastic Ladies in Poker. It works, you know, because there's lots of flips in poker as well. How did that name come about?
Well, trying obviously to come up with something that has female, you know, representation and poker related, because it's a poker group, you know, in the end of the day. And like, yeah, just like loads of brainstorming and putting different names down. I didn't want anything too long, ideally one word, so it would make sense for branding, you know, something short. And then like, just like, yeah, literally just for a week or so, just brainstorming and coming up with different ideas. And then like, was like, it totally made sense because I want to celebrate women. I want them feel like special, and we are all fantastic because we, you know, take on the professional play the game. We are minority, and, you know, we inspire others to do so, and that's why Fantastic Ladies in Poker.
Love it. Well, but the thing is, you know, you talk about 5,400 members of this group. So on the one hand, it's certainly not just professionals. It's plenty of just women who enjoy and want to play the game. But on the other hand, it's no longer what it first was when you first began, not just that one little thing, but the spirit is there. So in what way has the group sort of evolved over the last 4 years, and what sort of activities happen, you know, on this Fantastic Ladies in Poker Facebook group?
So yeah, like I said in the beginning, was all about, you know, celebrating women in the events I played myself, and, you know, just adding more, you know, recreational players, you know, who come and, you know, like support their husbands potentially playing and they're not playing themselves. And now it's become a group, you know, like I would say is, yeah, literally open for everyone. We got like any female working in the industry, so you don't even have to be a player. You can just, you know, be in the industry, you can be a dealer, you can, you know, work in the management position. And you can be someone who's interested in poker. You don't have to, you know, to play a game to be in the group. And we got lots of professionals. We got the biggest female players, you know, in the world, literally in the group. Got Kitty Kua, you got Kristen Bicknell, you know, like, I'm pretty sure we got even, let me think. Yeah, I mean, I was thinking, do we have Jennifer Tilly or not?
Oh.
I'm pretty sure she was when when I met
Wow,
her
that's a
before.
big name to have
But
for
yeah, we
sure.
had like bigger stars and we got
Wow.
people who just playing, starting to play the game. And that's what I like because, it's like open for everyone. And it's like really friendly and supportive community, regardless of your experience
Right.
or your success in poker. Everyone's super welcome. So initially it was about celebrating women, having deep runs. And since then it's become like just like a forum and networking, kind of hub where people post any questions, like we talk about lots of women related stuff. Let's say what is it like playing game around PMS and how does it affect your mood, hypnotherapy, for that, we got like girls providing, services like coaching, hypnotherapy, like mindset support, all kinds of stuff.
Sure.
And then like we got a girl recently posted, she's gone to the grindhouse to play with the guys, but she wants to organize a flip grindhouse. It will be only female, which was not done before. So, there's lots of good ideas to essentially support, motivate, and progress women in poker.
Sure.
And just loads of stuff. Now it's all about flip event, upcoming events. So it's all about like best travel route, the best hotel to stay, where people are meeting before event, having drinks, who is sharing a room with whom. So it's all about flip events right now.
Now you got me curious. What event are we talking about here? What do we have to look forward to?
So I'm very excited to announce that we're having the first ever standalone flip event. So not related to any festival or, it's gonna be literally one-off, 13th of March on Sunday, 2 p.m. in Manchester. So, since the pandemic, we've not had an event, I've not hosted any events in Europe and usually done that in the past. But this one is just one-off for the whole community to get together, celebrate International Women's Day. And we have this beautiful trophy to give out to the winner.
Oh, that is beautiful. Guys, if you're not watching on YouTube and you're just listening to it, it's a beautiful heart-shaped trophy. You've got the Queen of Hearts and Queen of Diamonds there. You got the flip logo. It's really, really pretty trophy there.
Yeah, it's all the way from Australia, handmade bespoke. And it comes in this beautiful mahogany box as well.
Oh, nice, beautiful.
And GG kindly is adding $2,500 WSOP ladies event package to the win as well as an added value, which is going to be absolutely insane, sending a girl to Vegas to play hopefully for the first time.
That's really cool. What's the buy-in?
So buy-in is £60.
Okay.
And it's one re-entry per person because we got lots of girls traveling from different countries so far confirmed, Ireland, Belgium, Netherlands, and the youngest one who's coming is 21. The oldest one confirmed was coming is 70.
Oh my goodness.
Amazing, like variety of ages, backgrounds, and nationalities. We got a few girls never played live before coming for the event. And we got a few professionals coming who actually play poker for a living. So it's going to be a good mix, I think. And I'm so excited.
That's amazing. So you said it's in Manchester on the 13th at 2 p.m. Where in Manchester? I'm not familiar with Manchester card rooms.
So yeah, it's 235 Casino. Manchester 235 is right in the center, Watson Street. And so it's being, like hosted obviously by, Flip and also by Doug, who is a poker manager, and he helped me to set it up. He's amazing. I worked with him in the past, and hence the reason I picked this event, because he's super professional and cares a lot for women in poker, and I know he's going to help me to make this a huge success. So,
well, it certainly sounds like it's going to be a fun time. Also, that extra value. Ladies, better hurry up. And how many tables are available there? Do you remember offhand? Because you don't want alternates or like people out the door.
I know. No, but I'm a little bit worried about it. Initially, I thought it's between like 1,500 entries, but now we're looking more at 100. And wow. I'm having a meeting with Doug next week to actually see how many we can accommodate and do we need a cap.
Yeah, so, maybe we got to build a tent, for some overflow tables. Wow, that's fantastic. Well, really good luck to you, and I hope anyone who attends, really enjoys themselves. Wow, and again, just the extra value potential of winning, a seat to the ladies event WSOP. Daiva, we're talking, actually happens to be, we're talking just after the schedule was released by the World Series of Poker. Well, what are your thoughts, just as relates specifically to like the ladies event, ladies week, stuff like that going on? This is finally back to the traditional slot that we know in the summer, no longer in the fall like last year. So what do you think about the schedule?
I just feel so excited because like I think it's going to be a historic event with a new location. The schedule looks amazing. I love all the additions they made. So last year, ladies event was on Monday, which I just like thought is a terrible idea, considering, women, have to make loads of, they have lots of commitments at home and, like not everyone can travel, like away and take a week off on holiday just to go and play poker. Sure. So, I always pushed it and I spoke to GG, if they have an influence, we should try and push ladies event to be later in the week. And I was so happy to see that the ladies event this year will be happening on Wednesday. Nice. I think it's as good as it gets. Obviously, Thursday would be slightly better, but because it's 4-day event, right. Wednesday is like massive improvement. Also, I love the sound of a Mystery Bounty event. Yeah. Because I saw people on social media going crazy at Win playing, the Mystery Bound Win event. And just so much fun. I think it's going to be like literally the most popular event this year, my feeling. And
it sounds like that's kind of like the wave of the future. Everyone's adding these mystery bounties. I know in Texas and other venues in Las Vegas. That's, who wouldn't want? I mean, it's also perfect. I mean, it's the gamble element is there as well. It's like, it always reminds me of like The Price is Right. What did I win? A new car?
I know. It's just like, what time?
Right, exactly.
Literally, an opening. The envelope. Oh, and also talking about Ladies Week. So I'm always super excited about Ladies Week. There are so many wonderful groups in America. We're doing a lot for women in poker, and we're hosting live ladies events before WSOP ladies event. So essentially, usually starts at like 19, 17 of June, and because this year ladies event is on 26th of June, so I assume it's gonna start on 21st maybe. So you get like different poker rooms running ladies event, like Win Poker Room, Aria, usually $300-400 buy-in. Then you got the ladies event at the Horace and all over the place. And well, between you and me, it's not confirmed, but the initial steps been made to potentially organize flip event in Vegas this year for the ladies week.
Okay, well, between you, me, and everyone listening on the CardsChat podcast, of course, that's really cool. I hope it works out for you. Well, you mentioned there's folks, some ladies who are just turning 21 years old or who have never played in events like this before. Maybe you can just throw out a tip or two. You've been to Las Vegas during Ladies Week, during WSOP time. Yep. Any sort of, again, it's not at the Rio, it's, new location, less stuff to get used to, but so we know the time frame that, ladies, if you want to go ahead and plan your trips, this is, right around the middle of June, towards the end of June, where you want to be there. Mm-hmm. Besides that, anything else kind of want to throw out, like you wish you knew your first time when you were there that you think may be helpful to anyone considering a trip?
Okay. Well, you mean the trip to Vegas or just any? Mm-hmm. Okay. Well, try to stay on this trip. Definitely recommendation that, so you don't need to get the cabs. They are really expensive and hard to get, especially if you're staying outskirts of of a strip. So you ideally want to be able to walk between casinos. If you bust something, you can just walk somewhere else. It takes 15 minutes. So you'll save a lot of money on that. And try the smaller poker rooms, which actually end up being off the strip, because they are usually better value in terms of smaller fields for the size. So you got more chance of cashing statistically, and they usually have softer fields as well. Because the strip events like at the big Venetian deep stacks, the WSOP events, and within we get huge numbers, and a lot of the time you'll have to be on the waiting list, and that might take hours, and then you buy in late, and then you got the short stack, and then you just end up flipping. Essentially, you don't want that. So always pre-register early. Try to play events that are smaller buy-in, because you're going to be softer for experience, especially if you've not played lots of live poker before, and try to play the games actually off the strip, which are usually providing the guarantees as well, and we're just going to be better.
Great tips there. Excellent tips there. Donna, I got to ask, we've been talking for the last few minutes about Women in Poker, about you promoting flip events. It certainly seems like you dedicate the majority of your time, your efforts, your resources to that. But of course, we know you're still a professional poker player as well. I know, pandemic aside, you haven't played live, but you're hoping to get back into that. How do you kind of balance between the two? How do you decide, what's more of a priority now? And, does sometimes one feel like work and I need to relax and do the other, or vice versa? How's that work for you?
Well, I mean, I wouldn't say there is any priority over, like flip or GG or, playing poker, because for me, all of them are equal and as important to do. Another thing, all of them interrelated for me. So then I try to structure my day in the right way. Then I wake up and have coffee, a little bit of yoga. And I try every day, to watch, like some kind of study coaching session, to, basically spend time on improving in poker. So a couple of hours for that. And then I catch up on all the flip stuff. As you can imagine, it's a lot of work with 5,400 members, and all of them having direct access to me for messages and reaching out, which I love, that we have this kind of open relationship, but it just takes time. And then obviously catching up on all the GG stuff, seeing what we can do for women, what's the next initiative, what I need to promote, what I need to focus on. And then obviously managing flip streamers and flip ambassadors as well. So it's still a lot going on. And then in the evening, usually in the evening, I'm trying to play poker. But
okay.
I mean, I don't do it a lot in the week, but mainly Saturday, Sunday is my big session, trying to play as many games as possible.
That makes sense. You got you in the right time zone for it as well over in the UK.
And I mean, all the biggest games and guarantees are on Sundays, So.
Right.
Yeah,
well, so you mentioned, GG, we talked about them a number of times. And again, they're adding that extra value, that prize package to your Manchester event coming up soon. And you also said you've got lots of meetings with them. So it certainly seems like there's a really great relationship that the two of you have. How did you first I think it's been a little bit more than a year. How'd you first get involved with GG as what's your official title? It's outreach and community advocate. Yes. How did that come about originally?
So GG reached out to me because I think we wanted to do more for women in poker, and I guess we just needed, a person to help them with that strategy. And that's what I've been doing all, the last 5 years or so, focusing a lot on that. I guess they felt I'm the right fit, and I think we do work together as a partners because I can provide feedback to them from the community. What do we enjoy? What we like? What the expectations are for in terms of online and live events, and what kind of initiatives we would like to see. And essentially, I talk with GG, I write proposals to them. I communicate those ideas and also, provide my own, marketing plans, what I think from my experience we need to do and we should do in poker industry. And then once that all agreed with then they agree with some ideas, obviously not all of them, but majority, they've been fantastic, really supportive so far. So then the next step is implementing that, which I help with them implementing, online initiatives and live initiatives for flip community and women in poker. And I work closely with marketing team and social media team, for that.
So Daiva, we've mentioned GG, we've mentioned when you were originally just sort of plucked out of the room by Genting, you've been an ambassador for them. I met you when you were an ambassador for Unibet Poker, and I know you'd also done work as an ambassador for Betsim. So, I mean, it's rare to find a professional poker player who's represented that many brands. And I'm kind of wondering, obviously, you have a lot more experience than you used to when you were just, I don't know what this ambassador thing is. What do you enjoy most about being ambassador, about representing a brand? And also, what do you find most challenging to be in that role?
Yeah, so I mean, what I enjoy the most, obviously, I'm enjoying continuing doing, and working on my mission, achieving more women in poker and supporting them and inspiring them. And I love when the brands agree with that view and, with my strategy, and we want to support this. We want to make a difference in the industry too, So I guess every time before, I agreed to work with any brand, it was always a discussion, here are my, kind of vision, you have to agree in a way, because, if you don't, it's no point working together, it's not going to work. Right. So, I think that's really important. And, like you said, when the more experience you get, the more, becomes, like working in an office kind of like, or commercial, environment, with the brands. And, like I said, it's very good that I have access to the community and I kind of like can feedback from inside, all the details, and to tailor all the, initiatives and marketing, from the brand side to exactly what community wants. And also what I believe we need to do to grow, this small, like minority, like group in the industry. So yeah, that's the most enjoyable part, doing something I love and I'm passionate about, and having a big brand behind me to support the same thing. And obviously the most challenging things is like, I hate having meetings in the mornings and waking up for meetings, because like, for example, with GG, like the main, offices are in Canada, Ireland and Korea. So it's all over different time zones.
Right.
So you have to adjust, like to people. And, I never thought I'll be back, having, like 9 a.m. meeting, then since I left the office and here I am. So that's never fun being a poker player when you go to bed 3 in the morning, like on Sunday, and on Monday you got 9 a.m. meeting. It's like, no.
I understand.
Yeah.
Well, at least you're not the Canadian one, that phone call starting at 2 a.m. So at least so at least that's okay.
Yeah, but everyone's been super nice. We're always finding the most suitable time for everyone, and everyone's like really friendly. And yeah, the team I worked with, at GG, everyone's been like super supportive and really like smart bunch of people.
Nice, nice. Okay, so obviously you are a proponent of ladies events. You're running them, you're running them, you're hosting them.
Yeah.
And we do see them all the time. We have Ladies Week, Ladies WSOP. Like it's obviously it's a known thing. It's a good thing. To what degree do you the thing is, we've understood, and you said right from the beginning when you first sort of came to you that, why aren't more women playing? Even today, after we've, made a lot of progress in the industry, we're seeing more women, but it's still very heavily male-dominated fields. And, to a certain degree, it's understandable. And of course, we want to keep pushing those numbers higher to get more women in the game. Ladies events, though, to what degree do those sort of help? Or do you see from your experience, many women just prefer to sort of keep it that way, stay there, and don't really have necessarily an interest in playing beyond those? What has been your experience?
Yeah, I mean, like you said, there's always two sides, like ladies events, people who love them and people who just like argue why should we have them. But like when someone is like against ladies event, when I see it online, like meet someone in person, like I always ask them like, what are your reasons? I'd like to find out reviews. Why do you think they shouldn't exist? And then we end up having this long chat, and like always, seriously, by the end of it, we go like, oh yeah, now I understand, I see your point. So what I say to them is essentially like, there should always be a choice. People should have a choice, like what kind of games and where we want to play. So, you come to a big festival and, like you never played live before, like by playing ladies event, only female community, and like we're gonna be like, let's say 25 flip members, you're gonna feel comfortable, you're gonna recognize people at the table, you can have like a nice catch up with them, so you're gonna be like perfectly comfortable, and that's what we want, right? For beginners, feeling comfortable in the casino, so we come back again and have a nice experience. But imagine now having a flip event, the random guy in the casino can just had a few beers on a Sunday night, a flip event just came and joined the table and then started talking nonsense. So imagine what kind of experience for the first time player that would be. Probably not the best. So we're trying to avoid that. And then I always say to those people like, so what you saying, we shouldn't have like seniors only events, we shouldn't have a students event, we shouldn't have like all those like, so you're saying we shouldn't have even female community online, we shouldn't have transgender community, so LGBTQ2, Q2, whatever. Can't say it, but yeah, basically, so all those minorities shouldn't exist just because you don't like it.
Right.
Like if that works and that's what we want to play, and have those communities, close-up communities, and that helps to grow the game and helps female participation in the open events later on, why not have it?
At the end of the day, it's all about growing the game and trying to be as inclusive as possible. That is one of the beautiful things about poker. So long as you've got the money for a buy-in or satellite your way in, whatever it is, you've got a shot just like anyone else at the table. So
and the thing is, like, I see ladies events as like entry gate, into entryway into the big events and open events. And like from my experience hosting ladies events all around Europe, like live and online, like we only help women to grow the confidence, and we definitely attract lots of beginners to the game, and that's exactly what we're trying to achieve.
Nice, nice. Well, you're talking about trying to achieve things. This, like I said, we're at end of February. By the time this airs, beginning of March, we've got the World Series of Poker schedule out. You've got your event to look forward to. My last question before we move into the community questions portion of it: what are your goals for the year, both as far as the promotion of Flip and where that will take you, as well as personal goals as a professional poker player? What are you kind of hoping and dreaming to achieve this year?
So I want to continue building Flip community, getting more women into the game, and as a result, seeing more ladies represented at the tables. And more kindly, with GG added, we see it to the ladies event, we'll get more Flip representation at the games as well. That's my goal as well, and to get more, hopefully, WSOP seats added for future events online, for Flip community, for online GG games. And so yeah, basically I want more women to succeed and to get them more coverage at the reporting, and hopefully mainstream, because the more publicity we get, the more people find the game, and then they see, and get inspired and go like, oh yeah, I can do that as well. So essentially, yeah, more coverage. Hopefully ladies make the final table this year in the WSOP. Great. And I'll just continue working on providing those opportunities. And for example, GG is and Flip working together to make March all about women, not only International Women's Day, but it's literally focused all about women in poker. And we'll be running 3 rolls from 1st of March for 7 days, approaching the main event. The GG is essentially giving out $10,000 to the Flip community members, and there'll be 3 rolls every day with 10 tickets to 5 million guaranteed online on GG. And then we will have on 8th of March, $25 buy-in, 50,000 guaranteed event, International Women's Day celebration in Flip.
Wait, again, $25 buy-in and how much guaranteed?
50,000.
That's incredible. My God.
Yeah.
Wow. Okay.
Yeah. So
I really thought I misheard you for a minute. Okay. Wow.
No. So yeah, I mean, that's massive. We're giving 10,000 away. We're adding WSOP ladies package, and then we, put a guarantee for 50,000. So I mean, that's a lot to get, some players playing, enjoying the event, and feeling appreciated. And that's what I want. Like, the women are appreciated, supported, and we are happy to play poker.
Sure. And how about for you?
And for me, for a personal perspective, I not played poker for 2 years now. I've been just playing online. And because of the pandemic, obviously, we've not had an opportunities. And I was living, with my dad-in-law. So it was for personal reasons, I had to be careful. So, so I skipped all live events. And the plan is to go to Vegas. And before Vegas, I want to play somewhere in Europe. So hopefully Malta Poker Festival or Battle of Malta, both of them are amazing events. And hopefully I can make to one of them. I played both, and it's a beautiful country. I always love spending time there. It's sunny, nice weather, in April. So that's at the end of April, I think. And I just saw PokerStars announced the first UK IPT in London back. Yeah. So hopefully that as well at the beginning of April, and next will be Vegas, and hopefully I can have a deep run in one of the events. And I would absolutely love one of the Flip community members or to take down the ladies event. And I would love to see any woman on the final table of the main event.
But why not you? Why not you?
Yeah, on me as well. I don't know, on me, of course, why not me? But I always feel happy for people.
Of course. Well, that's good. That's really cool. All right, Daiva, now we have reached the segment of the show where we talk to you guys, our CardsChat community. We want to see what questions you wanted to ask our guests. We have a dedicated thread on the CardsChat forums for this. So as we announce who our future guests will be, please be sure to send in your questions. And the first set of questions comes from Chica Bonita. Nice. I'm really glad to see this name coming up more and more frequently. Thank you so much for sending these questions. And Daiva, Chica Bonita wants to know, do you remember the biggest amount of money you've won playing cash games?
Yeah, I think I do. But I mean, cash game is not my bread and butter. I mean, cash game for me is just like literally a social thing with a few drinks, especially in Vegas where you get free drinks. So making the most of it, like playing somewhere at the win and having, like lots of champagne for free. And then like, yeah, literally just catching up with friends and, like just having a good time at the table. So I usually just play it on my day off and I don't play in every event. I guess like the biggest pot I won is around $500 because I play it so rarely, seriously, like twice a year maybe.
There you go. That's something I can identify with, but I play a lot more often, so I lose plenty of pots as well when winning those $500 pots.
Yeah.
Next question for you. Chica Bonita asks, it seems like you mostly play Texas Hold'em. Is this your favorite poker variant? Do you play any other poker variants?
Yeah, I mean, I always played No Limit Hold'em because that's how I learned the game, and that's what I've been focusing on all my life on improving, and studying the game. So I feel obviously that's where my strengths lie, and I always enjoyed it a lot. But recently I started playing more Omaha, and also played a few games of short game as well, short mix games.
Nice. Oh, cool.
So yeah. Well, heard about your festival potentially happening. I thought I need to improve. So taking that up. So yeah, and I mean, so just slightly, but yeah, No Limit Hold'em is the main one.
We'll get you eventually in the Badoogie, Badusi, Badesi variant someday.
Yeah.
Okay, next one. Okay, we touched upon how, of course, you're from Lithuania originally, known as the Baltic Blonde. Chica Bonita wants to know, is there an opportunity to develop poker in Lithuania? How often do you go back and visit home?
I try to go home quite a lot, so every 3 or 4 months. Obviously, that wasn't the case in the pandemic because we were not able to travel. And but my family comes to UK as well, like once a year. So we came for Christmas last year, and that was nice after not seeing them for a while. But yeah, the poker in Lithuania I never played, which is, I know it's a bit crazy because the main festival we had is actually once a year only, and it's called the Fisherman's Festival. And always clashes with something else. So far I've not had a chance to play. But yeah, it's a little bit complicated because in Lithuania, they not allow different brands, like to host live events or run the online rooms. So, you can only play, on, as far as I know, forgot the name, literally gone. So there's only one brand, like Tony Bet, I think you can play, and Ola Bet, I think these are the two. Okay. And so yeah, it's a little bit restrictive.
Got it. Understood. Okay. Next one's here. Most Lithuanians speak Russian well. Do you speak Russian? I think the correct way to answer it is Gavaruski Pavarich or something like that.
Yeah, that's exactly that. So да, я понимаю по-русски чуть-чуть.
Хорошо. I know that because that's basically the extent. I can wish you a добрый день. Like something like that.
I mean, I can speak a little bit. I never studied at school as my number 2 language because I was the first generation where Russian language was not compulsory as one of the subjects. And so yeah, but we had Russian channels and radio, so I learned the language from where, my parents essentially watching it. And like the last time I was in Moscow, I was essentially there for a week, but by the end of it, I felt like I understand most of what the people say. I just found it difficult to express myself. But I really feel if I lived there for 3 months, I would be fluent in communicating.
Nice. Well, do you think among Europeans, it's very common to be multilingual? Do you speak any other languages?
A little bit of German, but I never liked that language.
Okay.
So I'm not really using it much.
Well, but you know what? Where it's useful, I found at least. And I know basically 2 languages fluently. English and Hebrew, and I know a decent amount of Spanish. It becomes useful every once in a while at a poker table when other people don't realize that you understand them. So that could be pretty nice.
I love that. It's totally true. It happened in the past for sure, especially with the Russian players. Right. So it was amazing. Yeah.
Cool. Last question from Chica Bonita. Do you have an idol among women in poker who encouraged you to develop in this field?
I wouldn't say an idol, but obviously I I always got inspired by Kristen Bicknell, because she's, as a female player, she's achieved a lot, and she's like always constantly won GPI awards, for being best female,
Sure.
and not TV female, but also, like always being 10 top listed in, like just open celebrations.
Yeah.
And yeah, I met her a few times in person, and she seems to be very approachable and, like kind and caring person. So I think she represents the game really well and inspires lots of women. But I guess my main idols are outside poker.
Oh, okay.
Like someone like the notorious RBG, like Ruth Bader Ginsburg. Like, so she is like the second female ever to be appointed to the Supreme Court, of Justice in America.
Yeah.
And she was like a massive advocate for female rights and equality. And someone like that like really inspires me, and to achieve also in my field more.
Oh, great. It's a great answer. I mean, I can't say that we ever had Ruth Bader Ginsburg on the podcast, but we did have Kristen Bicknell. She was episode number 37. So if anyone wants to go ahead and listen to that one, that was another great episode. Next, okay, here we go. Acid Burn FX, our good friend who always asks some very interesting and creative questions.
Okay.
Daiva, if you could ever have an animal as a pet, what would the pet be and why?
It'd definitely be a puppy, a dog.
Okay,
And my family growing up, we always had dogs, but the last like 2 we had the Yorkshire Terriers.
Okay.
And I absolutely adore them. We're just so affectionate. We just always like come around and hang out with you and adjust your lifestyle. If you hang out on the sofa, we just hang out with you. If you go out, we go out with you. We never sell. We're just so loyal and cute and cuddly.
Nice. Okay, cool. Well, good answer. A very common answer, dog, right? Okay. I like the Yorkie though. It's very unique to the UK. I like that.
And like it's just a shame. I really considered getting one in pandemic last year actually. But I was thinking once that's over, I just won't be able, like to have it, because you'll travel so much.
Right.
Like, unless you live in Vegas and you can have a dog at the table all the time. It's like it's not gonna work for Europe, you know what I mean? It's not about.
Right. Only in the the famous picture, dogs playing poker. That's what we see. Acid Burn FX also wants to know, Daiva, if you could swap lives with someone for a day, who would you choose and why?
Well, based on the latest developments in Russia and Ukraine, I'd definitely be Putin, because I'd like to be in his mind and make all the right decisions and to stop this war, and injustice happening. I just feel all this what's happening right now is so close to my heart, because like obviously Lithuania and all the Baltic states where all my family are now from, they were part of USSR just like Ukraine, and I just feel if we don't stop him now, like what's gonna happen next? And I just would like to be in his brain for a day and just make all the positive and right decisions.
Very, very deep, insightful answer there. Let's look at the last one from Acid Burn FX. What is something that you're particularly proud about yourself, proud of yourself that you've done or achieved in life so far?
So probably, well, in terms of poker?
Not necessarily. It could be poker, in or away from the felt, possibly.
Well, I guess I feel proud that, like I'm in the industry now for over 10 years and I can still do the job I love and I feel passionate about it. And I can still, continue, like surviving on it and, paying bills. And, it's like hard these days, like doing something you're passionate about and still getting paid and appreciated for what you do, and as well as making a difference in the industry and for so many people's lives, giving this opportunity. I know a few girls, like never played poker before. And when we started playing, like joined the flip, learned the game. And like the latest post was like the girl who hardly played any poker, now she came third or second in the GG Masters game online, $50 buy-in for $30,000 and things like that happening. It's so inspiring. Or there's like one girl, Wendy Watson, she's just started playing small games in the local pub league. And now she's just absolutely crushing all the like GUKPT events around UK. And just seeing someone grow like that from nowhere, and knowing that you have a little influence over that just makes me very proud.
That's great. I love it. That's been very true to form. And yeah, certainly, in this game, you never know. On the turn of a card, someone's life can
Yeah.
change, and it's not to be taken for granted or obvious that someone remains in the game for 10 years or more. So definitely good on you.
Yeah, and well, I guess I'm not touched, I think, in podcast today as well. But like for example, like we introduced like Flip streamers, and we got the streamer called Melia. She started streaming for Flip 1 year ago, and just last week she's got signed as an official GG squad member, and that's such
cool.
an inspiring story for me. Someone who started as well, just being a small Flip streamer, worked so hard, like to build her audience online, and like being a key member in the Flip community, and just like really focused and motivated and just achieving her dreams, and then shows the community members that anyone can do if you follow her steps as well. And we really wanted it and worked hard.
That's super cool. Very cool. We've got one last question asker, the great Crystals. Thank you very much, Crystals, for sending these questions in for Daiva Byrne. Daiva, you have cashed in the main event of the WSOP twice. What was the biggest difference between how you played both of those times in both of those WSOP main events?
It was good times cashing the main. So I played, I think, 4 times, cashed twice, so that's not bad, like 50% cash rate.
That's amazing. Yeah. That's just not, everyone would love to say that half the time. Yeah.
I wouldn't say there's a huge difference, because the structure is like literally the best, hands down the best in the world. You got 2-hour clock, like you start with 50,000 chips.
Sure.
And so like you don't need to rush into playing hands, or don't put yourself in a tough decisions or situations. But I guess the main difference was like the table draw and getting the right people, and also not getting into like flip situations, so being on the right side of arenas. Sometimes like you get ace king and someone's got queens, and you win a flip, but sometimes you get kings and run into ace and there's nothing you can do, right? So basically not being on the bad side of variance. Also, like when I said with regards to the table draw, so like one of the WSOP events I played, I think I came back to day 2 or 3, I don't remember now, and I had like such a strong table. So Kitsukuo was there with a big stack, and Paul Wolpe, and like people, and then they had Paul Newman from the UK, so like, and another 2 crushers from the UK as well. I think Tim Higgling. So it was really, really strong table with millions in winnings. And like when you're on the soft table and you 3-bet someone, and they go like, oh, okay, she's a girl, she's probably got aces or kings, I fold. And then you're on table with Paul Wolpe, you 3-bet him, and he goes like, okay, let's see how strong is your hand, and he 4-bets. And then like, okay, so like have to play so much tighter, you have to just game, and you have to rely more on cards. Whereas in a softer field, like the one I played, I think last time, was like, I told you, this guy like was on my table, the game starts at 11, he's wearing a cowboy hat, he's already drinking beer, and he goes, I just want to let you know, guys, I play twice a year, I play my local Christmas game, $100, and then I play the main event, and like you go like, okay,
yum,
like
yum.
That's gonna be a good table.
Yes.
Like, thanks for letting me know.
Oh my goodness, that's incredible.
So,
That's okay.
That's the difference, essentially.
I can understand. Yeah, you never know which table you will be seated at. Well, I wish you a good table draw at this year's main event. That's for sure.
Thank you.
We'll end off with one last question. It's a great question. It kind of makes sense, and perhaps to sort of tie everything together. Thank you very much, Crystals, for asking this one. Daiva, again, you've been doing so much to promote women in poker. You talked about, the activities you have coming up, how your, resurgence into the live poker arena. What is the greatest progress, Crystals wants to know, that you want to see for women in poker over the next 5 years?
I want definitely to see more brands focusing on different minority groups within actually poker community. So for example, having all the representatives, targeting, like 50 plus, like the same, like at the WSOP events, we're running, like different events, focusing on different, social groups. And so that'd be good to see, because I think that's a really big audience where, we could attract to the game and, like support them. So it would be nice to have some of the brands representing that. And obviously, like more female as ambassadors, would be nice, but I already feel like lots of brands are doing a lot for that. I think certain brands like 888, we just had all female representatives, including Chris Mormon, and the rest were like 4 or 5 females, which is, of course, amazing. So we already achieved that, but now I would like to focus on different ages. And also just would be nice to get more, mainstream media focusing on poker and just changing people's, perceptions and this like bias. There's just like gambling, and oh yeah, no one should touch cards because you lose a house, So changing all of this mindset and perspective and focusing more is like a strategic and logical game, just like chess, essentially. And everyone should be playing and everyone can win.
Here, here. I certainly second that, and I would love to see something like that too. Great questions, folks, in the CardsChat community. Thank you very much for sending them in. For Daiva Byrne, and again, a friendly reminder to all of you out there, we would love to see you submit your questions for future podcast guests in the dedicated thread on the forums as soon as we announce who those guests will be. Please be sure to give us a good review on iTunes and spread the word via your social media channels if you liked the show. Daiva, before we let you go, is there anything else you'd like to share with the CardsChat community?
Yes, well, I just want to say a big thank you for having me and, for what you do in poker, like running this fantastic podcast and getting all the community together, and playing such a big part in growing the game. And we need more people like dedicated professional like you. And I really thank you for it.
Oh, thanks. That's very, very kind of you to say that. I appreciate that a lot. Daiva, thank you very much. Thank you all for tuning in once again to another episode of the CardsChat podcast. I'm Robbie Strazynski. You can follow me on Twitter at CardPlayerLife. I wish you all a wonderful day.